Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time I'm talking about some newly shown Marvel Legends products, and this time we have the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings line. So very excited for this. Obviously the trailer was just released yesterday, so all of the accompanying merchandise is being shown now. Hasbro showed their whole assortment, as well as even Funko Pop has shown their series as well. So very excited about this. Some of this isn't new. There was a leak a few weeks ago of these figures, very clear leak too. So there's not, this isn't too much of a surprise. Nonetheless, very excited to see the actual official images, and just can't wait for these figures. Personally, how I feel about Shang-Chi, it was one of the movies, I think, of Marvel's slate of upcoming movies. It's one of my very favorite, or one of the ones that I'm most looking forward to. It would be my most anticipated Marvel movie of the year if Spider-Man wasn't introducing like all the other Spider-Men in that movie. That probably has to be number one, but this is a close second. I'm very excited for this movie. I'm very excited to see the real Mandarin and more of the Ten Rings, and the trailer looks incredible, so I'm very excited. So I wanted to start off picture-wise with Shang-Chi, but we'll go in order of how they have them listed here. So starting off, we have the Death Dealer. This is a very mysterious character from the movie. It's actually the one character that they really haven't said who's playing them, so I don't know if that is more of just a kind of like a stunt person's playing him or her because there's so much makeup and everything, or if there is some sort of reveal. But nonetheless, very excited for this character. I think they look really cool, and I think that they're supposed to be a guy, and they're a guy in the comics, and I'm pretty sure that that's how they're pushing it. But I have seen one or two kind of videos talking about who it could be, and I've seen some theories that maybe it's a woman, so that's why I'm a little ambiguous here with what gender this character is. But overall, I think that this looks like a great figure. I think that the design of the character is kind of the most flashy of any of them. Obviously bright colors, fully painted face, the most kind of comic-y of the Shang-Chi characters, I think. Here's kind of a close-up. As you can see, detail is fantastic. Even in little gauntlet sections, the texture is wonderful, and textured throughout the entire costume. 100% a new figure, of course, which is very exciting. This is one that I wouldn't have really expected to get a Marvel Legends of, so very happy that we actually are. Some accessories are cool. Kind of the hand throwing the little daggers, very reminiscent of the Bullseye figure that has the same type of hand, but it is a different sculpt from what I can tell here. And even the hand to hold the daggers, I think, is really nice too. Overall, looks good. Articulation's probably pretty hindered torso area because of the costume, but overall, it looks like a really nicely sculpted and completely new design, which is great. Then we have Katy, so played by Awkwafina. Now this is the figure that's not a part of just the normal series that these come from. I'll talk a little bit about the Build-A-Figure at the end here, but she is actually separate from this series. She's a Target exclusive. And she looks like a really good figure. Now, it's very odd to see her like this, considering the trailer, she looks very much just kind of civilian-y. So it's interesting to see her in like a full getup and with weapons. So who knows, maybe she goes back with Shang-Chi and takes up archery a little bit and has a little moment at the end or something when she does it right with Awkwafina playing her. I'm sure it'd be in a comedic sense, or maybe she's kind of a Sharon Carter situation where she was planted in Shang-Chi's life in America to watch him for his father, something like that. Who knows? Figure though looks really good, just like Death Dealer. 100% new sculpt. Well, okay, since this is the picture that came up, definitely I need to talk about this. The oddest thing that she comes with is this weird headless bird dog thing. I don't know what you'd call it. We saw a couple of glimpses in the trailer of some interesting looking animals, but they're all very much kind of in the background or blurred out, so there's no clear look at them yet. So this figure looks very odd. Probably going to be just like a kind of fun pet that she meets and kind of hangs with, I'm sure. But overall, the sculpt looks good. I think that the face sculpt's pretty decent. The sculpt, as far as the actual clothing, is fantastic. Love that detail throughout it. Even the little back quill kind of piece, I think that is sculpted really nicely. And then, of course, she comes with the arrow accessories. And then the bow, too. overall, good figure. One that I'm definitely going to pick up even without the Build-A-Figure pieces. So then we have Shang-Chi, of course, our main protagonist. He's looking really good. I think that they did a really nice job on that face sculpt. I think face sculpt looks pretty solid. Very much represents the actor, I think. And the overall sculpt, of course, a new sculpt yet again. The design in the red portions is wonderful. You've got great texture throughout that. The pants are a little more standard, and then you have sneakers at the bottom. But overall, looks really good. Articulation-wise, looks nice as well. Would have been cool to have like a butterfly joint. I have the comic Shang-Chi figure from Marvel Legends, and that's just such a fun figure because the articulation is crazy. So I would have liked to see the movie counterpart mimic that a little bit more and have a little bit more range. Especially with like a butterfly joint. I think that would have been really nice. Nonetheless, though, pretty good, standard Marvel Legends articulation, of course. This character, though, really warrants strong articulation. And then we have Wenwu, so the real Mandarin, basically, Shang-Chi's father. Very excited for this figure. Overall, I like the design of his costume. I wish there was a little more green in there like if they just replaced the blue pieces with green, I'd be really happy because then it would more kind of wink to the Mandarin color scheme in the comics. But overall, I think this figure looks quite good. Head sculpt looks nice. This, in the trailer, we see him in kind of two different ways. One with short hair like this, and then one with longer hair. It would be really cool if they did like a deluxe version of him with a longer hair head sculpt and wearing the outfit that is more Mandarin-ish, that they show him sitting in the chair and his head lines up exactly with like the 10 Rings logo behind him. That would be cool to get a version of him like that. That would be very neat. Overall, this figure looks quite nice though. Again, fully new sculpted, great detail throughout, and the texturing in the costume is wonderful. They really went all out. I also really like the interpretation of the 10 rings on the Mandarin. In the comics, he physically has 10 rings, and this version, he still has 10 rings, but they're more like bracelets on his arms, more visually pleasing, and I think that it's a neat way to take something from the comics and still do it, but doing it with a unique spin that has a more I think visually pleasing type of look, especially for a silver screen movie. So overall, really nice, neat weapon. I'd be interested to see exactly how he uses that, though. It doesn't look sharp on any side. I'm sure in the movie, like this will actually be sharp and this will be sharp, but I wonder, just trying to think of how you use it and actually utilize the pieces on it would be pretty interesting. But I'll be excited to see that. The bracelets on him, they are just kind of the almost like a brassy color. In the trailer, of course, we see that they do physically light up. In the comics, the rings physically gave the Mandarin powers, and it looks like they're doing the same thing here. So it'd be neat to get like a variant too with like lit up kind of blue ones. That would be neat too. But overall, looks like an awesome figure. And then lastly here we have the final movie character. I believe this is Shang-Chi's sister, if I'm not mistaken. I think I read a bio that stated that. She, of them all, is the most plain, in my opinion, as far as figure-wise. She's got very similar kind of pants to Shang-Chi, but I believe that they're slightly thinner, so I do think that they're a new sculpt. The detail in her costume is all there, and it's really nicely detailed, but because it's on white and it's very small, at first glance you don't even see it. It just kind of looks like a clean sculpt, but if you kind of get up close here, you can see the texture, which is nice. Head sculpt, I think, is pretty decent. Overall, again, though, I think probably the one I'm least looking forward to, even character-wise in the movie, to be honest. I think all of these other characters are a little bit more interesting, but we, of course, haven't seen much of her, so hard to judge now. But figure-wise, looks like a good representation of the character, and then there's role-play items. The one thing to talk about with this, they're doing the Mandarin's kind of rings here, but they are shooting out pieces to it, so most likely that kind of confirms the fact that he'll physically be able to shoot blasts out of those rings. We see him in the trailer charge them up and use them to like smash something, so I'm sure it gives him a boost that way, but he probably will be able to shoot stuff out of them if they're making role-play toys that do that. So there you go. Really love these movie figures. I think that they look awesome. Definitely want to get them all. Aside from Aquafina, the rest are a part of just a normal wave that does have a Build-A-Figure. The Build-A-Figure is Mr. Hyde, and to be honest, I'm not a fan. I didn't even know, that Marvel had a Mr. Hyde character. Obviously, I know the character of Mr. Hyde, but I don't really know anything about Marvel's particular version of him. So, just character-wise, not super interested. I really wish that they went with something more interesting. If they went with a movie thing, there's so many, crazy lions and that we've seen in the trailer, and then there's a dragon pop that Pop is shown. There's things that they could have done to do a Build-A-Figure, movie-wise. So that would have been really cool. I would have much preferred that, to be honest. But even, I'm fine with them going with a comic character. I wish that it was a much better one, because I really don't care too much for this comic character. If the figures in the wave weren't ones that I needed, I would probably skip it altogether, because I just don't need Mr. Hyde. And usually the Build-A-Figure is the driving force for purchasing a wave, but this is one of those rare exceptions where the figures themselves are the ones that I'm actually looking forward to. And I'll probably end up completing the Build-A-Figure just because I'm definitely buying all the movie figures, so I'll have the majority of him anyway. But I do think he's a disappointing Build-A-Figure altogether. And we don't actually have the official images of the other two figures in this wave yet. I'm sure they'll release them very shortly, but at the moment they literally just showed the movie characters of the wave and not the comic ones. But there's two comic characters that if we get official images of Mr. Hyde and those characters, I'll do an extra video for it. But there you go. That's my thoughts on the Marvel Legends Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings movie figures. Let me know what you guys think of them, and thanks so much for watching.